I would have done this tomorrow, but today I'll do it today because I have a feeling that my other friend is going to cause me to, in essence, screw up my screen streaming. Sorry, I cannot speak temporarily. Streaming schedule is going to be very awkward this week. I'm not saying 12 hours of Diablo 4 playing this week puts a hole through my stuff. But no, on a serious note, that's why I'm doing it today. Normally I do it tomorrow. Now, the format I used for this, I will give a brief synopsis, and I need to go back and remember last week to actually put the timestamps in. Now, episode 6 dropped this morning. I happened to be up and also watch it, so it also put a hole through my sleep schedule. And strangely enough, I actually got all my screenshots for this week. So that'll be shown later on. By a lot, I mean a lot. I'll be saying collectively for the last two episodes, they've gotten into the 80s. I have to admit I was a little wrong. I'm glad it's either I said it was either going to be a dense episode or it was going to be if it's not a dense episode, it's going to be basically a light episode as episode 4 was. So far episode 4 is the only episode this season, and life of me I can't explain episode 4. Episode 4 is a mystery to me, and I'm going to keep bringing that up in this season. Because episode 4 is the only episode that has entirely fucked with the flow of the show. Nothing. Every other episode this season is going to either play into the finale or basically have a part. Or it's a callback to last season. Now, you still have to kind of see the prior season because they are doing the Westworld thing. That's why I think people don't get the show. The show has it, like Westworld. But Westworld's biggest sin was, in essence, not releasing every year. That's a problem. That's why I'm going to be curious when X-Men 97 drops. X-Men 97's been a year, and that's an animated television show. There's callbacks to, so far, I'm going to be very honest. I think like the denser episodes have so much information in it. And by dense, you mean if you blink, you miss it. And of course, I watched it twice because I happened to be in Dune this morning. So it's like I may stream Dune last night, but I had to go wait on Spice Blows. I don't go into the deep desert. See, I don't go into the deep desert, so spice supply is not as plentiful. I should, but here or there. Quite honestly, it's not because it's PvP. It's just because I'd have to fly out deep, and I need spice residue for what is it? Yeah, if you ever see me stream Dune Awakening on that server, you'll understand why. Spice residue, spice makes spice, spice residue makes spice cells. And spice cells last 35 days. So bear in mind I can be AFK from that game. So, also, as I said, streaming schedule screwed this week. Now, back to what I was saying. So, episode 4 is the only episode that's been off this season, but it had some stuff in it. Like, I think episode 4 was a warning episode, but it needed like 10 more minutes. So, this week we also had the surprise reveal of Ron Perlman. The thing is, we finally got the scene with the super mutant. And it's none other than Ron Perlman, Hellboy fame, Sons of Anarchy, longtime narrator of Fallout. And then we did get the line, "A war is coming." But the thing is, I did say we didn't need another plot. But this is not a plot as much of a teaser. It's probably going to pay off in dividends next season. If season 3 is the Enclave, I won't be shocked. And I'll be quite honest, as dense as it is, but the show does better when you don't have a plot, a vault plot. Quite honestly, I hate to say that. But you have a brief overview, but this is also the important Barb episode. So far, the spoiler stuff in the reviews I've seen, they do not know. Like, they skipped over the Barb part. The Barb plot has been needing to be explained for, I'll be very honest, for nearly a season and a half. We've been needing the explanation on Barb for a season and a half, essentially. And the problem is we got it. And you get the call back to the iconic scene at the end of season 1, War Never Changes. But I'll get to that. So, do understand, it's a very good episode. It is setting up the ghoul recovers. So in a nutshell, the ghoul recovers. But in an unexpected way. The vault plot progresses because the water chip is broken. And the incest group, support group in the vault is grown. And then the guy steps up to her. The vault overseer, because she tries to take it down. But then again, I think it's the passage of time and fast travel system in this show is really bad. Their games are thrown in. Because like later in the episode, Dogmeat just finds Thaddeus and Maximus. Okay. But here nor there. But the Vault is doing that. And then he calls her out for being from 31. And then she has to back down. So it's going to be a schism in the Vault. I mean, yeah, Vault 31's all but flat out abandoned now. Basically. No ifs, ands, or buts. They don't have a recourse. But he learned that all overseers come from Vault 31. Now, he used that against Betty. I mean, it's kind of like vaults are closed ecosystems. Yeah, sorry. Vaults are closed ecosystems in a way. Yeah. Beauty of but the thing is, that guy who's running the support group is literally the guy he's a conniving guy from season 1. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with Vault 31. They might find a way to restore Vault 31 with the water chip. But there's also water chip lore that got dropped in the beginning of the episode as well. Vault-Tec knew 30% of the chips would fail. And I repeat that. They knew. And they could place it where they wanted. Now, convenient lore, but that's actually really funny. So a 30% failure rate, and they intentionally stuck it in the worst vaults or vaults where they wanted them to fail. Because remember, Barbara's the head of the vault. She's the head of the whole vault planning. Now, here's a funny. One good. I'll have to touch on that one day. But this stream's on Fallout, though. One gun, that is a whole process unto itself. But I'll answer that maybe later on when I do a game stream. But I'm also going to have to get stuff for that. But I got other stuff going on. So, the vault plot is going to be, the vault's going to get rescued, I guess, at the last minute. Because we know in episode 7 is when he messages his father, Norm. I guess Norm gets out of whatever pickle he's in. But I get ahead of myself. The ghoul is rescued by a mutant, played by Ron Perlman. He's about to... And the irony is the super mutant is bigger than Hellboy. But the funny thing about the ghoul's plot line is not only you get to see the past and the talk with Barbara, which leads into the more to the discovery of the Enclave, because the episode is entitled The Other Player. And that's on the piggybacking on episode 5 with House revealing there's another party. But there's a whole lore to the Enclave. The show's doing accurately, but there's also a lore to the Enclave that a lot of people who review Fallout or play it probably never understood with Fallout. The Fallout television show, they're actually doing their homework. And that's a very rare thing. So Barbara flat out, after a bit, admits, like the ghoul gets rescued from the pole by a super mutant and gets a piece of uranium shoved in his body to heal. Because technically he has a giant hole in it. Because this episode's all over the place. If you go in chronologically, they're in one spot, they go to another. So, bear in mind. So he has a chunk of glowing uranium in him now. But he almost goes feral trying to get off the pole. But the only reason he doesn't get off the pole is because he has basically starts to go feral. But he also brings himself back to reality because he's searching for his wife and child. The super mutant then offers him to join the Alliance of the Abominations. The thing is, you know this is Ron Perlman. You know this is Ron Perlman. Just by the size, the voice, and also I think they did a little bit of the Hellboy makeup. And the super mutants, magnificent. We get a lore dump that since a period, the Enclave's been trying to exterminate basically the super mutants and any abomination. And it would really go back and harken back to when the guy escaped the Institute. There was a super mutant on basically a cart being moved around the Enclave facility. But this super mutant is not Marcus or one of the night mutants from Jacobstown. The ghoul refuses because he says he's wastelanded alone for 200 years. Huh. But then the mutant knocks him out and deposits him out. Because in theory, the super mutant, which happens to be sentient, by sentient super mutant, I mean intelligent super mutant. Those are like really, really rare. Strangely enough. That's why we actually thought it was either Marcus or the guy from Jacobstown. Because there's a war coming with the Enclave and the Abominations. Now, that's going to get paid off not this season. It's going to be next season. Now, you have the plot progressing with Lucy's father. Lucy's father picked her up from the end of the last episode, brought her down to the Vault-Tec facility. I hate to admit it, I do believe it's in the strip. The Vault-Tec facility has to be there. For one or two reasons. You're starting to see all the people abducted. It's either that, it's the most convenient fast travel system ever, by the way. And I mean that wholeheartedly. It's like Game of Thrones in a week or 3 days. You basically travel to King's Landing. If you get that reference. That was in Game of Thrones. And it's like everything seems within a day's walk everywhere. A couple of hours. So the Vault-Tec facility, she wakes up. There's an image. Now, I can show it. It's reminiscent and it goes back to episode 1 with the dress hanging on the thing. And she looks at herself in the mirror. She's seeing she has changed. But she realizes not to call her father, because the father's, if anything, manipulative. It's not that he's been alive by luck. He has near 100% charisma. Bonus. He's 10 on the scale, basically. And maxed out intelligence. Okay? The dude literally plays 5D chess. So she goes through the facility, nearly sees 2 NCR people, tries to knock them out, and sees they have a personality change. This is because the father's perfected the chip in the neck. Hence, this is also where you get to see the thing with the automated man, which is hinted at the start of the episode. So she goes through. See, that if you didn't see it in season 1, the father and daughter both were very close. They talked about reading books together. He has the book on the table, all quiet on the restaurant front. Which it's more the philosophy discussion in the show. That's probably what the father's plan is. It's another solution to the wasteland. Because he asked his daughter, did you see the same thing? Fighting over power, fighting over caps, fighting over whatever. But war never changes. He wants to create an alternative. But it also involves stripping free will. Basically, he's been taking criminals, deviants, and evil people, brainwashing their past. She calls it brainwashing. But they forget their past and they become new people. That's really what's happened. It culminates. He starts to manipulate his daughter by the past. Things that you see in flashbacks from the show, like running through the potato fields or cornfields with a flashlight. And then there's also a key line, but before this, he puts himself in handcuffs because she's like, I'm going to take you back to Vault 33 for judgment. She has no idea what's been going on in Vault 33. Hank probably knows what was going to happen to Vault 33, but we'll see if that comes out. And then he said, I may have went too far. Okay. But he also gives the line, there comes a point in every man's life when you make choices and you have to pay the consequences. Pay the price, basically. And you are that price. My little sugar bottle. He's leaving his fate in her hands. I mean, this is also talking like when she first sees him, she has scissors, like literally old school metal scissors. You could have stabbed him in the neck, sneak attacked him. I think I'm kidding. That's like the effect of the ghoul. But she chooses not to. Hank has the look of fear in his face, thinking the wasteland has changed his daughter. No. Hank shows her and he's like, right before he's being drugged through the halls, she's like, he tells her, let me show you what I've been doing. Maybe it's redemption. And then he explains who he has been abducting. Criminals. Deviants. Evildoers. Wiping the slate clean. This doesn't make Hank good. But then she is forced to make a choice. One of the old NCR Rangers has been captured in a Legion. Hank's playing this off as she's in charge. He set the scenario. So the Legionnaire goes to kill the NCR person. And she's like, how do you fix this? Push a button. She pushes the button that wipes the memory of both the NCR person that she knew and the Legionnaire into obedient people. I have the screenshots from that too. It is a giant what the fuck moment because she has to make the choice. It's not that Hank knows the outcome. He knows his child. Now you have a Thaddeus and Maximus plot. He has to abandon the armor. And then they go have a little bro talk. It's revealed Thaddeus is from the Boneyard. The poor part of the Boneyard. Now, they moved the Boneyard. Oh, I forgot to say the dog went off and took the hat and ran off. That pays dividends later. He says, go get help instead of giving him his drugs. But That's towards the end of the episode in general. That wraps it up. Thaddeus has it, and he's going to give it to someone good. Because Thaddeus says he's never seen anyone good. Because he's like, why don't we sell Cold Fusion? You'll be set for life. He's going to give it to a good person. He tells Thaddeus he came from Shady Sands. He's seen good people. Like, it's a very short scene. That's why I said the vault. Now, the kicker at the end of the episode is the dog finds Thaddeus and Maximus, leads him to where the super mutant deposited him in the Mojave Missionary School. Which I swear is a location in the game. Because I know that particular location, but it may have been something different. Because they used the location from the game, basically. And then we're set up for episode 7. That's how we're going to get all 3, basically like, of them walking down the street and going through the strip towards, or Freeside to the strip. That's going to happen. 7 or 8. Now, overall, I forgot. The Barbara plot, though, I'll get into. The ghoul. Well, this is the ghoul in the past, because it shorts back. The thing about the Barbara plot, sorry, I cough and dry mouth too, is the board meeting. So there's a board meeting at the beginning of the episode. It shows the advertising campaign. It shows how they're doing the water chip. The Vault-Tec scientist basically says there's a 30% fail rate. Okay. And you can control it. That's like Fallout lore in itself. Like, they knew chips would fail, or they set it up to fail. They set reactors up to fail. So not all the vaults were meant to succeed. Then the scene with the automated man comes in. Now, they sprinkle this out through the episode, by the way. The body double basically came in and said, this is the deal. And she's like, yeah, I know Robco and Vault-Tec have a special relationship. You were given a vault. If you want to run these experiments in your vault, you can do what you want. He goes, no, that's not the deal. It might be above your pay grade. The deal was, well, that's later after the slide. The deal was this for Cold Fusion. It is probably about, and he has a scene following. She has a bizarre look. Because she's not aware that the Cold Fusion is supposed to be traded. And that's an Enclave deal. That was a deal between Enclave and the House. And House. I said the House, but House. And she says he said it might be above your pay grade. That's why she starts investigating the Enclave. And her assistant basically says that's not a good idea. Now, after that, you see her go into the elevator. Lo and behold, the guy from Lost and the guy who stole Cold Fusion from the Enclave was alive and well 200 years prior. Again, it's going to get into speculation later on. I do believe how we know how Moldiver survived. And he warns her, if you do not go to the meeting and say the speech she gave at the meeting, war never changes and we're going to drop the bombs, The Enclave was going to make sure her family, and her husband do not get into a vault. But if he doesn't deliver this message, he's good as dead as well. Because they all have a part to play, and they cannot change the destiny. That's why the Barbara plot finally being explained is so interesting. Because it didn't, because there's a scene after that, it flashes back, because there's a part with the ghoul where not ghoul, but Cooper in Vegas, when she explains that she got threatened to basically have actions against the family. The idea is Cooper basically goes in to get the device, what he thinks cold fusion's in the... Basically, she had asked the delivery device, the storage device, and everything else. Here's the interesting part. It's the same way. They had to be injected to the neck. Because he opens up the thing, finds in the case an injector that was stored in the neck. That was in Hank's neck when he was in Vegas. So, that's how... And the episode ends, at least with her plot right there, ends with her in hand. We don't know. Supposedly the deal's going to get sabotaged and House has to use the platinum chip. Well, that's pretty much it, because the episode actually ends with the ghoul realizing Thaddeus and Maximus is going to have to help him. The dog turns. And then the end credit is Bud's office. Now, I am assuming, if we go off the prior episodes, Bud's office, it being Bud's office, water chip, agriculture R&D, etc. In the R&D department, that's what's going to be where the episode starts next week. I could be wrong. Bear in mind, these episodes always kind of have that. I mean, at some point. But that's where that ends. Now, if you're still here after this, I will be getting into full spoilers. Because when I said this episode is dense, it's your only warning. This episode is very, very dense. Blink, you miss it. I swear the Oxhorn one for this one's going to be like, if it's not 50 minutes, I'll be shocked. Just the lore tidbits dropped. Because a lot of it is visual storytelling. So, again, if you're still here, I gotta say, hey, anything after this is warning. Spoiler warning has been issued. Now, if you're looking for details, I will give details. Because I watched it twice. Now, I picked up most of it on the first time through because I happened to be awake. So, let's call it about 35 minutes. Okay. There you are. Now, this is a little bit, and I need to remember these timestamps because last week I fucked this up. All right. So, again, this is the first episode where we have actual. So the first of the episode, okay, which is funny, the opening of the episode. This is the first episode we've had a rusted Securitron. Just alone, the first, I'll be very honest, 15 minutes. Okay, I think the first, I've never seen a show that packs, I guess in modern times, because I thought the art form would be dead. 8 to 10 minutes. Nothing. They pack more stuff into a span of about 7 or 8 minutes than you do anything. And it's a very much an art form to do correctly. It's either a complete mess or it's impressive. Half the stuff just from that, I pulled the cinematography. I could pull entire scenes because the actors themselves are carrying this show. So, this is the first time we've seen a rusted Securitron. Now, remember, visual cues. Rusted Securitron. You know you're in for it. I can guarantee you they haven't really shown it. I need to go back and look at all the Securitrons. But this was a clue. This is the first time we have a entirely rusted Securitron. This wasn't like this. And by that, I mean you can go back and look at the opening. All right. Now, let's get into it. So, there is something to explain. Now, this is what I was talking about. This is the meeting. Look, you would never understand. This is the absolute meeting. And you can't really use this stuff because the visual storytelling is good. Okay. If you've ever seen a very bored meeting, she's having to deal with proposals. This was the advertisement. They're eating burgers, talking about how you're going to get the advertisement. Okay. You think okay, she's just a boring office woman working in an office and she has to oversee decisions. This is a marketing team. Do we use one explosion or do we use multiple explosions? Or do we use a 10 kiloton for an effect? Okay. She doesn't say anything. Here, this is the part about the water chip. She's given a presentation about the water chip. She doesn't flinch. She says, yeah, but we can control it. Do you have any suggestions on which volts? But this is the spiel on the water chip. Bear in mind, this is all I think multiple scenes, all the beginning of the episode. And it's a monotonous sitting in the office. And she just dismisses it. Now, you get the scene with Bud Askins. He's talking, why don't we offer express lanes? We have a 30-minute warning. Why don't we offer express lanes so they can get to the volts? And she's not interested in that. She's just there. And you get the title card. Now, this is the first time we've ever had this title card. That title card is very key. Before I get to it, there is a whole. This scene is right up there with. Bear in mind, this is all one, a little part. Look, it is feeding the speculation. So you have this, because that is meant to signify that This is Barb's story. Now, fun fact. So, this is where House is explaining, showing the product. He goes, "You're going to pay me. Because I present you to the automated man." And this is Hank McClane looking at it. This is probably the idea. We've been wondering, how did Hank know about the control device? Now we know. He also admires House. He wasn't talking to the Enclave. He might make a deal with the Enclave, but I highly doubt it. But that has to deal with the investors, though. I think the Buds thing is going to be the investors bit. And that's going to be revealed to be the Enclave. But that's my own personal theory. Buds, right? So, he's fascinated by it. This is the part where he gets to spill the whole entire spiel. Oh, Vault-Tec and Robco, but you have enough to do basically whatever you want to do with the Vaults. West-Tec was given their own. And the scene changes. Quite literally. The look on her face, she's like, she hears that there's a special deal. And this is basically goes from this scene to this scene. And you're looking at it because he's saying, you're going to do that. And it's probably above your pay grade. He's looking at the device and he's also listening. Because the idea, who are the investors? Now, here, you get this. She closes the thing. She eats. She basically starts crying because there's the thing. Because this scene is a two-part scene, by the way. The scene where I said they sprinkled the stuff out through the episode, which I'm not going to do because... Okay. If anything, I hate it. Because the problem is, short people have short-term memory. If you don't explain the plot, it doesn't get it. Because this is what lost people with Westworld. Westworld would jump around, but you had more focus. Now, I'll show a little bit, because this scene has a connecting scene later in the episode. So, she thinks about her family and cries. The actors sell it. Now, if you remember this is a part where it doesn't pick up for like another... Look, the whole talk is here. The funny thing is, this scene takes place right here. Now, you're gonna see... Actually, I'll just not use that one. If I use 3, I'll just use the better. There. I guarantee you, if they showed that at the beginning of the episode, we would all shit ourselves. There's a plot. The problem is, before I get to that, how the fuck is he alive? So she goes to her assistant, asks for whatever information on the storage of the facility, because she's going to have to go to this meeting. Also, it's funny. Moldiver knows about the meeting. Curious. There was a theory that she was working for the Enclave, by the way. And I think that theory is very coming true. Because if he was alive 200 years ago, how is she still alive? Think about it. And then he walks out. So she walks to the elevator, has the conversation with him. That's where I give you the spiel. If he does not deliver the message, just as she doesn't deliver the message to the heads of the company, she'll lose her place in the vault, in the pecking order. And everyone has a part to play, and they cannot change it. Like, this scene is powerful. This is them both realizing they're cogs in a machine. They can't change it. They don't flat out come out say it's the Enclave. Now, there's a whole thing on the Enclave by this point, and they're using it. So, fun fact, they're using it. And he was sent to deliver the message. Now, I think he was the person. Now, what's funny is I'll say this now. I think we know who the man at the top was. Go back. Episode. Where did I get that screenshot? Did I do it in 2? Did I do it in 3? It's in one of these. No, it wasn't in 2. Now, this actually begs the question, and I had it in a weird... There's a reason I saved this. And it's like, you have to keep it. The Shadow Man at the top of the room. I don't think that's him. Actually, that isn't him. So, if you look, it doesn't look like him. So, this is where you get into a theory. They know about the Enclave. This doesn't look the same silhouette. This could be the same silhouette, but I don't think it's the same silhouette. That's Enclave. That's one thing that we have said. It's been in the show since season 1. But that's not the same silhouette, I don't think. Height, none of it makes sense. It's different. Now, here's the thing about that. You would not know that unless you've paid attention. The show is not designed for... So it's secondhand viewing, right? That's what they call it. So some shows are designed for secondhand viewing. This show is not. The reason why Starfleet Academy is such a shit show, which I thought about reviewing, but I can't die of cringe, it's because it's secondhand viewing. Secondhand viewing implies you're doing something while watching it on your phone or watching it on your computer. You're listening to it in the background. So that show is designed for you to not be interacting with it or it be 100%. That's not the case for this show. This show is designed to be watched. You miss something, you miss a lot. Okay, so now that we got this out of the way, where do I go next? If I go to the ghoul plot, okay. I'll just look the... Technically, the talk, the quote-unquote the talk, which is very important. I say this in quoting fingers in the air. The talk goes out throughout all this episode. I guess since we're on Barb, I will go through the talk. But the talk, yes, by the way, that's the whole thing. You know what? I'll touch on it, but there's a great cut scene. There's a great visual scene. You know what? We need a cinephile like Little Movie Percocet to explain this to us. Okay. This is literally the same scene together, nearly. He passes out and it goes to this. They did this last episode where they cut perfectly. So there's a realization, and he's like, he passed out because he's brought back upstairs by his wife from last episode. And that's where it goes, we need to talk. Now, I'll lump this all together. Because the thing about the talk is, this in total has to deal with the revelation of another group. So he tries to have the talk with his wife. Were you a monster basically when I proposed to you? Or did you become a monster? She has the realization. He drops a line, war never changes. She heard it. And then he drops, were you a monster always that? It's like the moment of screams at him. She's been caught. The war never... Now she learns, not intentionally how, that he heard the conversation. See, it begs the question with the plot with the ghoul. Does did Cooper really tell her everything? Because they seemed separated by the time the bombs fell. See, this is the second half of the talk, by the way. Here. I just call this the talk. It's the meeting of the husband and wife. And basically, it's not that she's doing the thing. Because this is a scene that leads right to the discussion of the cold fusion device. It looks like the same screenshot. It really isn't. She realizes she got threatened. But Cooper doesn't do this. Because she goes, I'm doing this for Janie. Because he goes, you're a monster. And he reinforces it. And then this is where he's giving the speech. Would you kill everyone? Everyone has a bunch of children like Janie. You would put billions of lives. This will go back, I swear, the conversation with House in the bathroom at the BFW will come back. House's line. When you back a body into the corner, you don't know what they will do. When you pack hundreds of bodies into a corner, you things happen, things change basically. You back millions or billions into a corner, you have no idea what will happen. I don't do that scene justice, but that is a scene from that episode. She's doing everything she can to protect her family. Her choices in turn affect billions, millions, because Vault-Tec is seen as a villain, especially after the war. Now, a lot of it was because the vaults, they called it a scam. Some people didn't get there. The vaults were private. Vault-Tec could have had all the technology, but let the world burn. Now, here's the key part. That's when it goes into the scene with her who threatened you. Now, did I get the image of the other half? So, here we go. This is the scene after. Because the scene in the elevator, remember, with the Enclave reveal, is that. And he's like, who can threaten? Because he's also thinking back to House. That's the same look he gave House when House told him there was another player. This is the same look. He's hearing it from his wife. Because he's entirely convicted. He's convinced, I should say, that she was a monster. Because he himself does not know anything. Well, he doesn't know he's only learning. He is basically the guy who's been kicked around the entire series. The ghoul is the link to the past, present, and future. Honestly, if I throw out the idea, he's the Man in Black. Let's say the Man in Black is from Westworld. The Man in Black is from Westworld. He was very key to the whole story. Unironically. That's why I said if you've never seen it, I think it was played by Woody Harrelson, if I remember correctly. Really bad with actors. But he plays the part in the past, the present, and the future, or at least to a point. Now, this being said, this is what the ghoul does. Now I will get into the ghoul plot. There's a thing about this. The part here is that you see it. It's like basically like he doesn't realize he's the passenger. It's kind of like he is the plot device who's interconnected, but he doesn't realize he's interconnected. I think at some point he's just going to be the exposition dump. No. Let's get to the forgettable part. Okay? Vault 33. Vault 33. Not much you can really say. By the way, adorable scenery. And it's a fun scene, by the way. The song Uranium Fever plays as they dance around. Okay? This is real. But this is basically where he stands up to her. By the way, I love the joke in Fallout is because vaults are an isolated ecosystem, inbreeding happens. Maybe by cousins, maybe by stuff. once removed. Which is funny. Get it? The kissing cousins. So, there's a scene, I should have clipped it from here. So this is the thing where he finally stands up to her because he says the food and everything else. We know that the next episode is called The Exchange. So she's gonna give the keepsake box from Hank to Vault 32, the Overseer. Okay? Now, he knows that Vault 31 people are separate, but no one really knows the origins of the Vault. Which has been the running theme, but personally I find it a retarded theme through the entire show. I hate the Vault plot. Every episode without the Vault plot, just minimize it. It's kind of like every time we get the moment with Thaddeus and them having the bromance moment. It's not that I hate Thaddeus and Maximus. It's just the plot is forgettable. It's just them fleeing. The scene was just to show them fleeing. Thaddeus talking about his past for 3 minutes. You shot it because he theoretically wasn't supposed to be in this season, but I guess they kept him in there. Now, let's get to the ghoul. This will be throughout the episode as well. Though I screenshotted this in order, to my own dismay. Okay, so technically you can tell the order of these scenes. This is him. He's been kicked out the window. He's looking for his drugs because he's starting to go feral. Because if he wasn't going feral, he could probably pick himself up off this. He would still have a hole in his stomach, but nothing a little bit of radiation can't fix. But in turn, he causes more internal bleeding. But you see, he's starting to go feral. Doing the feral thing. It's to the degree that we've wondered how he stayed sane for 200 years. Because technically, ghouls go insane. But you have the underworld in DC, and some of them have been around for 200 years. I guess if you have... It's like people, if you have good grasp on reality, you don't go insane. Now, what's funny is he tells the dog to go get help, and he calls the dog retarded. The dog picks up the hat, and that's what I mean. He goes and finds Thaddeus and Maximus later on. And there's literally a line. That's why I said that line. It made me chuckle, but it also makes me die inside. By the way. Let's see. Did I get it? Please tell me I got it. Or I did not. So he is dragged away. Hold on. You're telling me it didn't save, did it? You stupid thing. I don't think I oversaved it. Hold on. Nope. My fault. I found it. Yes, this is the only scene I collected from the goddamn bromance. So he asks, why do you leave the power armor? Oh. Yeah, I'm going to have to get to that later on, by the way. So he's like, what are you going to do with it? Sell it? Yeah, they'll find the armor. But you know what's funny about it? I guess that's how they found the armor from season 1. It has a tracker. Okay. Thank you for people filing in. This is going to be the spoiler talk. Now, this is how he gets off the pole. See, he wakes up later in the day. He has to reassure himself. This is all one scene. And it's like he has a thing, but he winds up falling down because he starts to go feral at the top. Now, the funny thing about this is where we get the iconic figure in black. Okay? The figure in black is from the trailer, which is this. Leads to this, right? You hear the line. It's like a stomp. It's a literal stomp, stomp, stomp. Because super mutants are big things. They aren't small. And he's carrying him with a uranium lantern, so he's kept alive. So he's been rescuing basically abominations for what? But this is where we get to the lore dump. Because, again, this is where it cuts to, like, the vault plot between. I'm like, why do you have the vault scene between? Now, heavy spoilers was saying this is, like, crucifixion theme. You have it, but I'm like, a being reborn moment. But I'm like, okay. Technically, he got hoisted up, and he took the uranium, shoved it in him. Now, I have a personal theory about this. He's going to have super regeneration. I mean, literally, he now has basically a straight green uranium rock in him. I'll be curious if he goes the glowing one route. I swear to God if they pull that off. So, and he's like, here. He's like, there's a war coming, and you need to fight the actual... I looked back in the scene. There's like a tinkering station in the background, too. So that means this is an intelligent super mutant, too. And he's like, well, I've been wastelanding for 200 years, and I fight alone. And I'm not going to join you. But he also rehabbed him because he needs him at 100%. This is the thing. This is a subplot I don't think we asked for, but it's very well executed. This is Ron Perlman under a shit ton of makeup. And masking. And I think I've only ever seen this since, if you've ever seen Hellboy. No one knew he was going to be in the episode. It's better that that's Ron Perlman's voice. I thought that when I heard in the trailer, that was Ron Perlman's voice. But I did not know. Just the prospect of where Ron Perlman was going to fit in. Look, there's a lot. Like, this is why I said this is dense. When I mean this was dense, I'm going through this in the total plots where the plots start. Okay? Because if you went through this, they cut through it. Now, it's the only thing I haven't gone over. Now, let's go over the Lucy now. Let's go over the Lucy track, which will close this out. This is her waking up after the thing. Now, some of these moments, as I said, that is a moment you will have to see. This is her waking up. Like, this way I go, okay, why do you pull this? See? But I like something. The thing is, you cannot use editing. You can't use this because these are all retardedly copyrighted. You can't use it. Hell, if I play a Fallout game on YouTube, it's blocked somewhere in the world due to copyright. I swear to God, it's happened every time. That's why I play Fallout 76 while on radio. This scene, this is reminiscent of when the wedding dress was on the mirror and she was looking in the mirror. But that is a flashback to season 1, episode 1. And she's looking how she changed. Then she realizes she needs to go over there. He was like saying, when you wake up, push 0. She chooses not to. It's a scene where she's realizing she is different. This is a thing with Lucy. They don't show it because this episode, if you watch it, is 51 minutes total. 40 minutes go by without breaks. Again, if you blink, you miss. Now we get to the idea, what is the automated man? Now, if you call this creepy and stripping free will, trust me, there's been people who have gone over this plot, and I can guarantee you, some are not correct. They are just, because they're not taking into it, they're missing it. So he's brainwashed these. So apparently, he's ninja'd the entire, Legion. Somehow. I'm not sure how. Random Legion patrols change their personalities. And he gets to these. These were rival raiders. And now they're just talking. It's like creeped out. It's like a vault. Then there's these people. They're putting together the chips. Now, in reality, let me make the case. Is Hank evil? What is your morality? That's what they're setting up. He is probably evil by most metrics. But I'd have to remember, if I remember my D&D alignments, he's like lawful evil. Possibly. That's what he is. He's probably like lawful evil. Because in the system. Because he obeys laws, but he also makes very bad choices that gets people killed. But he also believes he's within the letter of the rules. But he uses a system that he is taught to do these things. This is why when we see him more in the past, he kind of was this way, but he wasn't this way. He became this way. He is like the evil principled dictator. You don't like the evil king, but you know the evil king is right. Though he is not a product of the wasteland, he's a product of pre-war. He has been, but he's also making good. So you could argue that he's neutral. It's kind of like if you look at the morality alignment, Lucy is good because she just thinks using people's bad. He is taking people who are broken and fixing them. Now, you can call that a good or an evil choice. Like some of these people were flat out murderers, in fact, which he goes into details later on. Now, the idea of fucking over and controlling the entire wasteland? Yeah, let me file the evil, maniacal person. Because this is where I'm going to get into the part with. So, there's this scenes. She's looking in because he recreated Vault 31 or 33. And she sees the War and Peace on the table. Then she sees her father for the first time. It's like the father, she hasn't seen her father since basically the end of season 1. Now, again, I guess it's kind of strange because there's like 3 different emotions on her face. Pardon these if these look the same. They're all subtly different. You would never know this actress is British. She has like a British or English accent. But reality, she does English very well. American English. She did it. She has kind of that thing. And it's like she wants to kill her father, but she is happy to see her father. Because it goes back and harkens back. Miss Lucy McLean, what are you going to do when you meet your father? And this is from the episode. That's from It's Been Sprinkled Out. What would you do? Now, there's a discussion about All Quiet on the Western Front. All Quiet on the Western Front is a very interesting book. They redid the film recently. Some people like it, some people don't like it. All Quiet on the Western Front was written in... It's equivalent to the World War I movie of The Deer Hunter and other iconic Vietnam-era films that analyzes the damage to the generation. Basically. Best way I can put it. It's an interpretation of being an anti-war film because the soldiers don't realize what they're fighting for. But they're all killing each other. And then the soldier dies towards the end. Or something terrible. I forget the actual thing. It's been a while, and I should reread that book more than once. Something like that. And it's a tragedy. Because everyone's fighting, because it's an actual real account towards the end of the war. They knew the war was done. Yet commanders wanted one heroic last hurrah till peace and the armistice. They fought all the way up to it. And that's what Hank's father's talking about. All these people who senselessly slaughter people because that's his dream. This is what he's been doing. I guess the other part. So, because there's like a dinner. Like he does this. Oh, I skipped over. Oh, no. This was in wake of the dinner. Yeah, no. He does it. He sees her. Because there's a scene, right, that goes like this. Like he sees the table. That's the... Yeah, okay, I get ahead of myself. This was the War and Peace discussion. Because he asked her if she's read it. Because they had a little book club. They would read books. See, there's the book. That. And then they have a discussion why the book is the way the book is. Now, fun fact. So, now you get into the discussion. It's really, really funny. This is where they start talking about the book. She says she hated the ending. She hated what she read. Because he didn't chide her like a child for not reading it. It's the ending. Because she got caught that she's never read it or finished reading it. Now, if you've not seen it, as I said, I'm just getting this out today because it's fresh in my mind and I might as well. Now, this is where he's explaining the philosophy. That's why I said the show does cinematography really, really well. And this is where he also drops that war never changes. I guess he asked her what she has seen. It's never changed her. She can't really answer it. It's like the player going in there. Then you get this moment. Which, if you know the game, it's like a sneak attack. Where let's pull this up. Look, Hank, every time he smirks, he knows his daughter. He knows the people around him. Some call this manipulation. Some also you could call this conditioning. She could have just knifed him in the throat with the scissors. Simple. Chose not to. And that's what players do. You don't ask questions. And then you get this where it sneaks up, and this is the oh shit, like I'm gonna get it and whatever. He's like, there's the moment I thought the wasteland changed you. And then he has the smirk. Because this is the thing. You go back to when he did the thing. It's not that he manipulates it's not as it's like a manipulative look. It's like if he goes, and you're going to take you back to the Vault-Tec Council, you're going to pay for Shady Sands. Now, arguably, what would they do to him? Imprison him for life? Vault-Tec wouldn't kill him. She would have to, first off, she would have to be welcomed back. Now, if you think anything, usually when people leave the vault, they're not welcome back. And this is a part where it's 100% manipulation. Because if you're going to do this right, let's do this proper. This is where he gives the spiel. You care about justice. And if you do, because he puts the handcuffs on himself. And she gets this look. Because the daughter hasn't. She's like, okay, so I probably made the wrong choice. And you're going to be the person to judge me. I did everything for you and the brother. But this is the price he has to pay. There comes a point in a man's life where they have to pay for what they have done. And by the way, S.A. Tony, you should have that moment. And he basically, call it a manipulation, call it also, he's trying to show her the works. Because you see, he puts on the handcuffs himself. She tightens it and is going to drag him around. Okay. It's weird because he does this himself. And he goes, but let me show you the rest of the work. And then there's a scene. He manipulates her, basically nostalgia. What about things? Now, it cuts back. You see, this is the problem. If they say, remember this, you're not going to get it. Because his room is on the other side of stuff. Yeah, he's brainwashed some. I say brainwashed, but brainwash is the word. He's white people and they don't know violence. He could have easily told them to attack her. No. And it's literally, this is all one scene. Literally all one. And different dialogue. Where she sees it. And they go, it's fine. Because they're like, freak, someone's going to do whatever. Okay. The story goes into to here. One used to be a cook. It's like, where'd you find all these people? And he goes, there's a bunch of people who need our help. Because he thinks he's doing good. This is why he is such a good actor for this role. For some reason, this show has a magical group of actors. The acting is spot on. Don't know why. When I say the acting is some of the best acting I've seen in years, the chemistry. Now, I will say Thaddeus and Maximus have it, but it's just that writing is not good enough to carry it. The Ghoul, Lucy, everybody else. They all have. I think the last time I've seen it, it's like Ewan McGregor and the guy who played Anakin, adult Anakin. They would literally spar duel just out in public because they were that close. But that's why that episode 2 and 3 really did good. It's one of those realms of, it's a good cast. He goes on to explain he got people from the wasteland. One was a cook. The other was that. Now, here's where you get into the very interesting thing. This because what's funny is they're offered freedom, but they refuse. And they said, oh, we'll leave the door open when we leave. But they don't want to go back to the surface now. They like it in the peace and safety. As I said, if this person just coming in, it's a spoiler warning, by the way, if you don't know. So you remember the guy? You remember the NCR officer? See, the way this scene plays out entirely, this entire scene is one scene. So it's like, oh, just release them. Let them do what they do. And then she goes, oh, she's the boss. Basically lets the two fight. He's going to kill him. And then basically Lucy is forced to save the guy. The NCR person the Legion person almost kills her. If it weren't for a timely pencil strike, video game logic, she has to push the button. He goes, how do you solve this? Push the button. This is why I say, you see how has a stapler, is trying to kill him? And she has to push the button. This is her face after she makes the choice. This is rivaled by probably the choice. The only other time you ever see this kind of face from her was the same face when she realized last episode she killed the shopkeep. And she got asked by the person going in, "Who are you?" You see? I don't know. It's a look. Let's see. It's right here. She gets this same look. This is from last episode. "Who are you?" "I don't know." That's her exact line. And it's delivered perfectly. Then the father goes, "Kumbaya." Because they stop fighting. He shows his daughter he is right. Yeah, he's an evil bastard. Don't get me wrong. Oh God, if this was. Look, there's plots in Fallout that you could say in Fallout games don't seem good, but this is a plot that's good. I wish this level was writing in most Bethesda games. Like, it makes some plot lines a lot better. But it's just sequencing. Now it's the pacing that's the problem. Sadly, the show likes to pace itself like a really bad person who they think the storytelling needs to be sprinkled out all through the episode. This is the device. Right here is a cold fusion device in the neck. Here. I should have showed this earlier with Barbara. It's the same device he used to get it out, get it in and get it out of the neck. Forgot. See, that's why I said this is all the way at the end of the episode. Now, the fun fact is the dog wakes up the person here, and I should have got a screenshot from it. He calls the dog a dumb dog. It goes from here, right? Go seek help. For some reason, he goes and seeks Maximus. Okay. I find this stupid, but I find this adorable. Lassie, go fetch help. Okay. You only know that reference if you ever grew up on classic. You either watched the Lassie shows or Gunsmoke, other things. But largely this plays into Fallout. Because a lot of the thing. Lassie, go fetch help. And technically he finds it. And there's this scene here. And then this is what I'm talking about. This is a little bit of the problem. I'm starting to see the fast travel system. Okay? I want to know what the fast travel system is. Is there a penalty on fast travel in this universe? Because I want you to see this. This is in the actual same scene. To here. I'm sure some cinephile's going to go, "It's not the same scene. It's shot different and put together." This is meant to be the same scene. This is night. This is day. Apparently, wherever they were. Okay, let me see. This is where I'm going to check this out. Because there was a location in this episode. And it was called the Mojave Missionary School. And I know the location. I swear it is not the one. There is a location. I swear, and if I find it, they say it's a new location. I don't think it's a new location. It's an unmarked location in NV, and it's a trade post. Now, realistically, I know I remember it. It's in the game. But there's a quest over there. There's a lot of people who were just playing Fallout New Vegas for the first time when they watched this show. Me, I remember the story beats. I just hate the gameplay of New Vegas. It can go fucking die in an absolute fire. Lore-wise, good. Game sucks ass. 50 Ways from Sunday. But the show itself is really good. It's very dense for 41 minutes. 43, 44, something like that. Now, and close this out. I'm going to get into spoilers. Now that spoilers are done, say 1, 3, turn timestamps. One day I'll master this thing called YouTube. I can't be like gay frogs and go after OF chicks, I swear. You know. Throw stuff to the wind and pray to God stuff works. Anyways, I'll get broad timestamps. Thank you. I've had to explain to people how YouTube works, or how you do it sometimes. All right. Now, let's get into... So, here we start at... I'm going to go into the theories. So we know what the next episode is going to be. The next episode is going to be basically... So we have 2 episodes left. We know the yellow dress thing, and I guess her fleeing it, happens in this episode. That's what's going to happen. So she's going to have to go back and find the ghoul. Now, we know the water chip in the exchange of the keepsake box is... the idea is, we don't know what that is. The theory of the box. So, here's the thing about this. We're talking about... that is still unresolved. We know that the exchange happens. I'm not sure what that is. I think the trailer for it is... I don't even think an autistic person could figure it out. Because the episode ends with this. Now, these title cards, or end cards, I should say. Title cards and end cards are both important in the show. The title cards show you what the episode is supposed to be about. The end cards tell you where they start the next one out. By the way, the guy is obsessed with Cooper Howard, and it goes down the agricultural, what he was doing with it. Now, this is why this episode is called The Exchange. It's about going to be, we know that Norm is going to contact, but last time we saw Norm, he got passed out on the floor, nearly choked out by basically Chatty McChad, who was Bud Askins' assistant. So, Let's see how we get out of that, basically. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how they're going to play that out. The question is, how do they play it out? Let me see if I go back and remember part of it, because I went back and looked at it where I had to watch it back like 4 times. Basically, there's a part with a hand in water. Now, I want to say that okay, there's a theory. I've seen it, it's in the game. There's like a chamber that has the water. And it's something strange. It's only if you. Wow. Okay, they're going to drop that. Oh, they're dropping that early next week, by the way. It's earlier next week, by the way. Trust me, if you think this episode was packed. So, he's going to realize Thaddeus has cold fusion. Now, the keepsake box is going to be exchanged. Hold on. There's a handoff of the cold fusion to it. Looks like a House representative or another person. Someone fucking with a water chip. Maximus takes on a Deathclaw in power armor. Norm then tries to contact his father. Okay. If that is not another dense episode, that's being dropped at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. So, what's funny is they didn't drop this episode till Wednesday. It's every Wednesday they usually do it. So, it makes me wonder, they're not releasing the two together. So, it's going to go 7, then it's going to go. So, the keepsake box is going to be the big thing. Now, that might be a slower episode, but there's something in there. But then again, there's a lot of theories what's going to happen with Vault 33. My personal thing is I kind of think Vault 33 is screwed. Because either they're going to use the FUV in the Vault, because we still need the explanation what is Phase 2. Phase 2 is going to be an explanation, and and Phase 2 is not the obvious one. So, and I guess if they save it for a part with the Norm plot, maybe so. Now, the mystery is, why did Bud Askins' assistant not kill Norm? I have no idea. That is a rant for another day. But there's a problem. The problem is the way Vault Tech works. They always have one person who toes the company line who believes in the cult, so it keeps the rest in line. And that's the thing with Buds Buds. Buds Buds makes sense because they're all crazy and they support Vault Tech 100%. But that is phase 2, though. So phase 2, we're either going to find out in 7 or 8. So we will see. Until then, I'm actually going to see 7, but I got this today. If it's early enough, I might do a game stream. Anyways, I will probably stream a game tonight because I have a feeling my next. The only problem, I was streamed Diablo for. I did it for 8 hours. It was comfortable. You know, the problem is that shit catches up to you a day later. I'm a workaholic at a form. And then I didn't stream yesterday because I went into Dune Awakening. I had a farm stuff and just was bumbling around. Do I have an adventure to tell, though? I have something prepared, but I'll probably save it. Color me impressed and color me not impressed. But I have something I need to edit. But let's put it this way. I'm not impressed by a person's actions. This is not having to deal with S.A. Tony. Nah, somebody else. Let's put it this way. Lying and culpability is a thing. If you were there, you were there. And the problem is... I may touch on it tonight. It's not intentional disrespect because I had to break a rule this morning. I also gave a starving man a life raft. But I also learned things. But that's not for this. I'll have this time stamped now and for future use. Till then, lessons learned. I remember to screenshot everything. So, it's all good. Better week. Now only if I can get the rest of my shit in order. So, till then, I will have both of these things time stamped. I need to go back and time stamp the other one. I need to remember not to exit StreamYards before the timestamps are done. Anyways, part of YouTube. But till then, apologize for the early. I'll probably stream about 6. They do have something else in the pipeline. So, again, catch people later.